Jeffrey, are you sure that this is how you want to live your life? This is why you feel like a failure. Adonis decides that he must help Jeffrey. And so he gives him the greatest gift that he could. He gets Jeffrey onto self-improvements. And then there's you. I'm going to take you onto my computer because there's a post from a young man that we want to help. So the post is titled, "I turned 25 this week and feel like a failure." I am turning 25 this week and I really feel like I've dropped the ball in life so far. I graduated college with the hopes of working in college sports with my sports management degree. And before anyone says, yeah, that's setting up for failure, I loved every minute of work I did in my undergrad. Yeah, fantastic. I had an internship with my school for 3 years right when COVID hit. It really just spiraled. A year after COVID was finally beginning to die down, I entered the workforce. It really felt like everything just went wrong from it, with many places wanted you to slave away doing free work, lots of volunteering and internships. I decided to step away and try to work. You know that this is a really dark reality that you might not have thought of. So many young men will finish in the education system and realize that they are utterly unprepared to be able to make money in real life. And what's available to you when you graduate, even with a degree, is like this pathetic amount of jobs that you can maybe go and try and send your CV for. And they're all like minimum wage. And it's all like this like sad shit of them saying like, oh, we're a family here, free fruit on Fridays, exciting work culture. And it's just like a fucking normal office. So many guys get like career pilled as soon as they turn 21 or 25, they graduate and they try and start looking for work. When I was 22 years old and I graduated with a psychology degree, and I realized that I was still eligible for the exact same jobs that I was eligible for when I was 18 before the degree. It was such like a blackpilling moment, and I was so pissed off at the world. And I was applying for all these random jobs, minimum wage for all of them, pissed off. And that's actually when I started to consider entrepreneurship and making money online. Let's continue reading. I had a retail job for a year as I tried to get a foot into sports, but then switched to a supply chain manager position and made good money, but I honestly hated my life. That mundane cycle of warehousing really destroyed my soul that I even had a relationship be heavily affected by it, which ended sadly. When I speak often about how inhumane a lot of jobs and careers are, there's always a couple of comments from people who have got this like softer approach to life, and they're like, oh, but you know, someone needs to do it. We can't all be entrepreneurs. Well, yeah, but my intention with this kind of video is not to try and make 100% of humans entrepreneurs. It's to try and make the kind of guys who already have a tendency for entrepreneurship, who are already frustrated with the world and couldn't think of anything worse than working some depressive job for the rest of their lives, just hoping to get Saturdays and Sundays off. Like, that's a fucking disgusting, stupid, idiotic trade that so many people will make. Many young guys are too intelligent for this, but the older guys, the guys who are about 25 and older, and especially our parents' age, they are very, honestly, very stupid in the fact that they have accepted the trade, that they will trade Monday to Friday for Saturday and Sunday. They lose 60% of their lives. They trade 5 days and get 2 in return. That's what you're doing with a full-time job. If you were saving up so much money that then eventually you could quit working 10 years from now, fine. But there's basically no job out there where someone can retire after 10 years. As much as all these little finance gurus want to tell people, as much as all these like finance book authors or these Reddit pages which tell people like, yeah, if you don't spend any money and don't buy any coffee for 10 years, you can be a millionaire when you're 75 years old. All of that's fucking bullshit. I want to stress to you right now, there is only a few ways to get rich when you're still young, and that could be an awesome goal for you. There's only a few ways, and anyone who disagrees with this is a fucking scammer. There is only a few things that you can do to get rich in the next like 5 to 10 years, and it's basically to become an entrepreneur, become an athlete, become some kind of singer or entertainment. Those are the only 3 ways. That's it. No fucking career out there is going to make you rich in the next few years. There's some that you might be able to save $500,000 50 years from now if you don't spend any money right now. If you go and like commute longer and you trade years of your life so that you can save up this bank balance so when you're 60 years old, you can go on a fucking cruise. The point of life is not to just sacrifice it all so that when you're 60, you've got some pennies in the bank and inflation takes most of it. This level of thinking that so many guys have been stuck onto has always blown my mind, because I was very lucky that when I turned 21 years old, the first book that I read as an adult, the book name was The Millionaire Fastlane by MJ DeMarco, and that's what saved me from a life of basically being like a 9-to-5 rat. I sound offensive as fuck. When you read that book, when you listen to this author, this entrepreneur's wisdom, you realize how fucked the modern system is. If you've never heard of him before, I highly recommend you read his newest book instead of because that's like an older one. Just read his newest book, which encapsulates all of the lessons, and it's called The Great Rat Race Escape by MJ DeMarco. Amazing entrepreneur. I've also done a video with him if you want to go and watch it. If you just search up Hamza, How Andrew Tate Got Rich, me and MJ DeMarco did like a video, like an hour-long guide together on how young people can basically start businesses and make money online. And this before anyone starts thinking, oh yeah, this guy's probably a scammer. This, like, I have nothing to fucking sell like any broke people who are literally struggling to find jobs or anything, right? So this is another like just random hate that I have for this space of young people who, you know, are clueless and feel like failures. They have such like scrutiny, like this young, like there's so many young guys who they hear me talk about, yeah, like becoming an entrepreneur is amazing, and they'll straight away get ready and think, oh, he's probably a scammer. If you're broke, no offense, bro, but I have nothing to sell you. The only product that I sell, you can't afford. So there's nothing you have to buy. If you're watching this right now and speculating, thinking, oh, this guy's probably about to pitch me something, don't worry. You can't afford it. You're broke. I'll help you for free because you can't buy anything. And I sound horrible, but I need to say this to millions of men around the world. Stop like this weird energy where you feel like everything is a scam because we're talking about like entrepreneurship. We're talking about, to be honest, I don't blame you, because most like making money online things are scams. I won't even blame you for that. The reason why so many young people think the message of becoming an entrepreneur is a scam is because it seems so unbelievable compared to the other reality, which is just like working full time. I don't blame this guy at all. You know what? He said, I was basically a manager. I made good money, but I hated my life. And then he ended up leaving that job. That's exactly what I would have advised as well. Oh, the lighting is so bad. Sorry, bro. I'm such a bad YouTuber, man. Let me turn this down. Let me just fix the light for you quick. I sway way more on the side of telling young men to do the kind of work that they genuinely find purpose and passion in. I'm not like basically one of these soft people who tells you like, oh yeah, just follow your passions and you'll make money. I won't lie to you. Sometimes following your passions will keep you broke, but I would rather live a life where sometimes I'm broke and other times I'm rich, but I spend my entire life always fulfilling my masculine purpose, than a life of like this guy was just describing, that he was making good money, but he hated his like years of his life. Because to me, wasting years of my life making money and not liking those years of my life, it seems stupid. It just seems so illogical. My like ethos, my philosophy of making money, which has served me very well, by the way. The Airbnb that I'm in right now is about £8,000, and I bought it with like a no blink of an eye. Think about that. My rent is £8,000 and it didn't stress me out at all. I've been very good at the skill of making money. And so this is like my mindset that I want to share with you. I will not have any years of my life where I actually hate those years of my life, but the only thing I got out of it was a number in my bank account, because that just seems like such a bad trade. I will not sacrifice years of my life for 10, 50, 100,000 pounds in the bank account. I want to enjoy every year of my life. Inside of that enjoyment is of course going to be some levels of suffering and pain and mistakes, of course, but I don't want to go through like a year of working full time. Like if you said to me right now, work some depressing job for 2 million a year, I'd do that to you until you get fucked. I wouldn't trade a year of my life for millions. Even if you told me 10 million, I still wouldn't fucking do it, because a year of your life is so valuable. And I would rather spend a year being broke and basically having to utilize like stoic mindset of like, yeah, you know, money's not even that important. I don't even need possessions. I'd rather just like use stoicism and be fine being broke, but know that I'm pursuing my real purpose on this earth, than sacrificing it in some shit like manager position. Because the guys who do that, he did this for I don't know how long, but let's say a year. When you sacrifice a year of your life for some, you know, job that's going to pay you more, truthfully, after the end of that year, all you'll have is like £10,000 in your bank account anyway. That's all you'll have saved up in 1 year. So it's like you basically put yourself in like a prison for a year for 10K. Because the huge amount of money that you make in one of these high-end jobs where you're getting your salary is like £100,000, you spend a lot of it through that year that you hated your life anyway. And so really at the end of like a horrible, depressing year where you worked so hard to make money, all you've got left is the cash in your bank account. But that cash isn't even that important. We know when you look at studies that having like money in your bank account isn't actually like that good for you. And what's more important is like, are you fulfilling your purpose? Are you achieving flow state? Do you have good mental and physical health? Do you hate your life? Are you commuting? And are you working with people you don't like? These things affect your life so much more. So whilst I am like a proud entrepreneur and I think that making money is an amazing thing, I wouldn't trade my health for it. I wouldn't trade my purpose for it. And so you don't have to follow that advice, but that's the philosophy of money that has really served me well. Let's continue reading. I left that managerial job halfway through the year and I've been floating ever since. I've applied to sports jobs, but seeing it's been 2 years out of it, it's honestly a waste of time. It's sad because I have a high level references from my university. It's frustrating. I have no college debt. The only debt I do have is a small amount of credit card debt, about 2K, that keeps getting pushed to the side because of my sports gambling habits, beginning to work on it. I live at home with my parents, no kids, and enjoy my time with my family. I have a small amount of savings, but I really want to get another car as the one I have is kind of wonky. This one paragraph just made me lose so much respect for this young man. This has just showed me so many red flags that I almost want to just like shake him by the shoulders and be like, well, what the fuck's wrong with you? He has credit card debt, which is probably going to be huge interest, and he's not even paying that off because he's got sports gambling habits. Beginning to work on it sounds like something a fucking pussy would say. Oh, I'm beginning, I'll start thinking about, shut up, beginning to work on it. Fucking fix it. I live at home with my parents, no kids. That's kind of sad. Like, oh, I live at home with my parents. I'm 25 years old. But to be honest, this is like what most young guys, like even 25 years old, most people below 30 are still living with their parents because it's very expensive to move out. I have a small amount of savings, but I really want to get another car as the one I have is kind of wonky. You can see, obviously, he's got like young man thinking where he feels like a failure, but he's not questioning his beliefs. What I would say to this young man, if he was watching this, is that your own brain put you into this situation. So why the fuck are you continuing to trust your own brain? Your own brain got you broke. It got you into like some shitty career that made you depressed. Your brain can't be trusted. So why are you still trusting your brain when it says, oh, let's go gamble. Let's not pay off the credit card debt. Let's go get another car. This is like weird advice that I've given and people don't like to hear it. But honestly, about 80% of men in the world, they would do so well if they just turned their brain off and just listened to mentors and like authors and influencers instead. Honestly, when you're at a certain level like this guy is, maybe like you might be, this is really hurtful to say. You would make more progress in life if you sat in an empty room and did nothing than whatever else you were going to do. Think about that. This young man here would make more progress in life if we locked him up in a room with no internet than if we actually let him live his life by his own accord with his own brain. Most people are literally just so self-destructive, gambling, not paying off debt, that if we put them in prison, they would actually prosper more. This is because their brain is so stupid. And so what this young man needs to do is unstupefy his brain. And he does that through getting education, through getting knowledge from the brains of people who are smarter. I would give this guy a prescription like a doctor would. And I'll give this to you as well if you kind of relate to this. I turned 25 and I feel like a failure. Stop trusting your own brain, and for at least an hour a day, consume knowledge from someone whose brain is more successful than yours. Go and find a really good author like MJ DeMarco and go and read his book for at least an hour a day. He's got like 4 books, so you'd be fine for the next couple of months. Go and read his kind of books for an hour a day, every single day. Go and find some really wealthy, intelligent productivity podcaster like Ali Abdaal and go and watch one of his podcasts for at least an hour a day. Can like make your brain's beliefs change and update and improve by basically brainwashing yourself from the brains of people who are more successful and better at life than you. Because when you're like, what this guy's mistake is, He's trying to take action on a brain that is too stupid to actually get better results. His brain right now, let's say it's like level 2, and this is the success he has in life, level 2. He keeps acting out what his brain is telling him, but that's only going to get him level 2 results. When you want level 10 results, the only way to do that is to go and take level 10 action. But the only way to take level 10 action is to even know what that is, and that's where the knowledge comes in. You need to start by brainwashing yourself with the brains of people who are much smarter than you. You need to. There's so much of this BS online that like, oh, learning and consuming content is bad for you. No. If you watch degenerate content, yeah, of course it's bad for you. But if you're reading books from brilliant authors, if you're watching like full-length podcasts, unedited videos, no dopamine bullshit, your brain is going to improve, and the actions you take after that will really help you to improve your life and your situation. That's what he needs to do. Saying all this, why do I feel so awful about my life? Because you're uneducated. You have no knowledge when it comes to building a good life, building finances. That retail job I had prior to my managerial job is one that I'm still at, so it's not like I just bum around. You work, but that's like level 1. Like going to work for money is level 1. There's a lot of hardworking idiots out there, and the most they'll ever make is about $10 an hour, and they deserve it. This is brutal, but sometimes you need a slap to your face. There's many men out there who are so hardworking, but they're just stupid and uneducated. And this is you, my friend. This is you. If you're watching this right now, this is you. Your brain is just uneducated. You don't bum around, fine, congratulations, that's level 1. Level 0 is like you don't even work at all. You just play video games, okay? You're at level 1, congratulations. Level 10 is that you've improved your brain because you've started seeking out knowledge. So you're not a complete bum, but you're uneducated. Go over the next year and read 20 books on finance, investing, entrepreneurship. Go over the next year and consume 100 hours of long form content on making money, entrepreneurship, productivity. Just do that one change, and I guarantee a year from now, you'll be a lot more successful than you are right now. Now, of course, there's going to be some people who only consume and don't take any action, of course, but that's a separate problem. That's not what this guy's problem is. If you're already, like, if you relate to this guy and you are actually working hard, but you're not getting the results, it's because you're uneducated. There's people who are educated, who watch a lot of long form videos, who read a lot of books, but they're not getting good results because they're not taking action. But that's not what this guy's, like, constraint is. This isn't what his problem is. If you relate to this guy that you're working hard, but you're not getting results, it's because you aren't educated, you aren't getting better knowledge. I do have to say my money management has been awful and it's completely my fault. Yeah, that's true. I guess I had a grander belief in what I could accomplish to show my siblings. It's good to have big hopes. I'm just extremely stressed, and every day I wonder how I could be living at home at my age. This is a very important part. I'm extremely stressed. The reason why you're stressed is because your expenses are too high. If you were able to just cut down your expenses like crazy, that a lot of that stress would go away. Right now, I bet what you're profiting every month is actually not as high as it seems. You might make $2,000 a month or something from your job. But the fact that you've still probably got car payments and you're still paying off debt and you've still got like random expenses, and I can't imagine this guy is like going to try and stay frugal or anything. It's not that frugality will ever make you rich, by the way. There's a lot of like finance liars on the internet who will tell you that if you don't spend money and you invest it all in index funds, you'll be rich. There isn't one single person in the history of humanity who's ever gotten rich through investing and through like index funds. Sounds crazy what I've just said. You can't prove me otherwise. No one has ever gotten rich through investing. Everyone got rich first and then got richer through investing. But starting investing with $100, $500 is just stupid, because investing is just a multiplier. Why would you multiply basically zero? This is like the great lie of so much financial advice. I don't blame this guy, because the advice out there is just so bad. None of your teachers were successful and rich, so none of them gave you good advice. Your parents probably aren't rich, so they're not going to give you good advice. You go online to try and seek out like good finance advice, and the amount of little geeks out there who will do all these like compound interest calculators and all these graphs and everything to show you that if you don't spend money on a coffee today, you'll be a millionaire when you're 65. And they just don't speak about how inflation is going to take all of that money away anyway. This is why, if you're just going to go and get knowledge from one person, make it MJ DeMarco and read the book The Great Rat Escape. I won't have to say it so many times. till you like get it into your mind. If you want to save yourself from this shit position, you need to read that book and you need to consume the work of this one author, this one entrepreneur, and it will save you. If you start by consuming his work and letting it update your beliefs, and then you start acting out, taking action, you will get to such a good place in life. I'm saying this so many times as like an influencer, basically giving this author a shout out, because I am here today because of his work and because of the knowledge that he was able to put into my brain from his books. The only reason why I wasn't some like broke, depressed, genuinely suicidal guy working at full time was because I read his book when I needed it. He has a phrase, this author, FTE, fuck this events. Basically, he says that the only time that you'll really change your life and become like an entrepreneur who becomes really rich is after you've had your FTE. You've had this moment where you think to yourself, man, fuck this. I hate my life so much. I've got to make a change. Me and my girl on the drive here, so we're in Scotland, on the drive here yesterday, this long drive, we're listening to the audiobook and he mentions this and she looks over to me and she says, what was your FTE? Have you had one? And like instantly I answer because I know exactly when mine was. I told her it was on this one day where I finished work and it was like 7 p.m. I missed the first tram to go home. Like I was just slightly too slow. So imagine I'm like fast walking from the office space wearing like the office shoes, which were like hurting my feet and my shins and stuff. And I see the fucking tram up there and it leaves before I get there. And I have to just wait 12 minutes to the next one. 12 minutes isn't a long time to wait, but it broke my heart because I already felt like I didn't have enough time. I get onto the tram, it's all packed. I literally stink of sweat because I went to the gym before work as well. Get off the tram and I take this shortcut to my apartment, which is completely pitch black, like it's just dark, right? So there's no sun up at this point at 7 p.m. in UK time, and there's no lights or anything because it's almost like a shortcut through a construction site and all the lights are off. And how people would take the shortcut is they'd open up the torch on their phone so they could see where they're going. I had that on. And as I'm walking up, not only this on almost a separate point, but it really happened on the same day. As I'm walking, I can see my apartment and I'm looking through it as well, like the window, to just like almost expecting my girlfriend to be getting fucked by some other guy. This was where my mental health was. I'm walking there, feeling like shit, and it fucking hurts. You know why? Because I know that I'm going to be sleep deprived again tomorrow and have to repeat this entire thing. And that's when I go on my phone and I turn the flashlight off and I just kind of like slowly stand and slowly walk around in the dark, like pitch black. And I'm just in tears. I'm crying like how I used to as a kid, like when my dad would beat me. Thinking of how much I fucking hate my life and I have to do this day again tomorrow and the next day. And I did all of this entire day of working and commuting to make £64, about $75. I told my girlfriend that this was my FTE, my fuck this event, because after that moment, I vowed that I would become an entrepreneur instead. I couldn't imagine continuing to live that kind of life without you're sacrificing everything just for money. But the amount of money that you're sacrificing it for, like a lot of it just kind of disappears. Like you just randomly spend it when you don't like your life. You spend more money on drugs. You spend more money on like random takeaways and entertainments because you hate your life. And so when you spent an entire year hating your life, working some job that's just so horrible, all you've got left is the number in your bank account that you saved from that year. And it's so much less than you realize it is. So much less because you spend so much money in a year of your life anyway. So you sacrifice the whole year of your life and all you've got, like, to go further from that year is like $5,000, $10,000. Would you go to prison for an entire year for $10,000? Fuck no, right? But that's like the exchange that most people are taking. And it was on that day that I vowed that I wouldn't act in this same way. That's when I started to create this phrase where I was like, my brain got me into this position. It was my brain's fault that I'm here right now, broke and without any good skills, not making good money with these bad decisions that I made. So my brain can't be trusted. I need to go and listen to the brains of people who have the success that I want. That's when I started to look for like books on entrepreneurship, making money online. That's when I found the author that changed my life forever. Let's continue reading. I'm just extremely stressed and every day I wonder how I could still be living at home at my age. You know what's another thing what's wrong with this guy? As soon as he makes a bit more money, this motherfucker's gonna go move out, isn't he? You can just tell just from his writing. Let's say he makes $2,000 a month right now and he can't really afford to move out. If he got a promotion or if he became like an entrepreneur and he started making $3,000 or $4,000 a month, I bet this motherfucker would go move out and add that extra to his bill. This kind of person, their brain just keeps them handicapped. As soon as he makes a bit more money, he's going to go get a car. As soon as he makes a bit more money, he's going to go move out of his parents' home because he hates the fact that he's still living at home at his age. Bro, I was 26 years old, still living at home whilst making £100,000 per month profit. Do you understand the number that I just said there? Because for most people, it'd fly over their head. I was making 100 grand per month profit. I don't blame you if you don't believe me, because that's too big of a number for most like Jeffrey normies to comprehend. I was making such high amounts of money and I was still living at home because it was the right thing to do. So there's so many people who want to rush out and move out when they're super young because they want to go get freedom and stuff. And that can be nice, but have you earned it yet? I took my time with that decision. Now I'm moving out. Now I'm going to go buy my actual home. But I didn't rush with it. Because when you rush in those earlier stages of when you're really trying to get your foot into the door, the issue is he feels like a failure the moment he makes money and he moves out, and he's going to be so much more stressed because all he's going to do is just add to his expenses. But he's going to do it whilst he's working full time and he's not even in the apartment that he's paying for anyway. That's why I actually think the decision to move out, I think it's worth to take a longer to move out from your family's home when you don't even have to pay for anything, especially when your parents are fine with you living at home. I think it makes so much more sense for you to not go and move out earlier rather than later. I think it's so much better to stay at home, keep your expenses super low, save up a bunch of money, and also just keep reinvesting that money in so you can be ruthless. You can be like a really lethal competitor in the workplace, in your entrepreneurship, in your business. I was able to take incredible risks with my business because I didn't have some super expensive apartment or house to pay for. That was like a secret advantage for me growing all of this time on YouTube in the last few years. Whilst other YouTubers were trying to compete with me, they couldn't because I had no personal expenses, and so I could spend £30,000 a month on just editing or video editing. No other YouTuber in the self-improvement space could afford that because once they started making a few thousand a month, they started like moving out to nicer places. It's only now when my profit is so high that I'm spending about 8% of my profits on like rents now, which is like, that's fine. 8% is basically nothing. It's like if a normal person was making £2,000, it's like them spending £160 a month on rents. It's literally so low, right? So even though I spend a lot on like where I live, £8,000 a month, it's only 8% of my actual profit, which is like very, very low. Most people spend about 50% of their like profit, their income from work on rents. This is a dumb post. I'm sorry. I just wanted to vent in some way. I really hate that in my mid-20s, I feel like I've done nothing all this time. Truthfully, you have done nothing. What you've done is you've worked for money. And you're realizing now that money does not stay. Money comes and goes. Do not work for money. Working for money is so idiotic. And I can't believe it's such a normal narrative of this day. Don't work for money. Work for knowledge. Work for skills. That one sentence that I've just said might save your life. I'll say it again. Really try and listen to the hidden meaning inside of it. Do not work for money, work for knowledge and work for skills. Because when you work for knowledge, when you work for skills, that's when the money will just come to you like easily. I press record on this camera without any preparation, and just the YouTube, just for the video, pays me like $500 just for the video. What other people make in 1 hour is $10, $15. I make $500 in just recording a random video because I've got the huge level of skill and knowledge from years of really grinding and learning from books. This is why you feel like you've wasted your 20s, because you aren't much more knowledgeable or skilled than before you even turned 20 years old. So when you work for money, all that's left is the money. But if you haven't even got that much money saved up, it feels like kind of pointless. He's got $2,000 or however much he said like saved up. up, that's all he's worked for. That's all he's gained. What would have been better is if he worked a lot less and he learns a lot more. I would advise this young man who doesn't really need to work since he's living at home, he must not have much expenses, to go and learn for 4 hours a day and go and try different careers or even try businesses and spend hours every single day learning. Because then when you're 26, 27, 28, 29 years old, the skills that you'll have are so high level compared to where they are now that then whenever you actually do sit down to work, you'll automatically make more money. The amount of money you make is just based on what level of skills you've built up. But most work, careers that you get into, you don't actually gain much skill, which means that when you do work all year to make $20,000 or $25,000, that's all you've gained is that money, but you spend a lot of it and all you're left with is $5,000, $10,000. It's not a life-changing amount. Work for knowledge and skills, spend hours a day learning. That's how you really feel every year you're wow, I'm in such a good position. Every day I'm reading books on, for example, charisma. I'm reading books on body language. Every day I'm reading books on influence, on persuasion. So now when I do work for money, the amount of money that I make per hour is so high. This is the exact opposite of what everyone who's struggling right now, they're just they're so short-term thinking. They're just trying to make money right now and they'll accept whatever offer will get them the most money right now without thinking what will make them the most money next year and the year after that. And it's having really great high-level skills. So it's practically in a no BS way. What this means is this young man needs to free up his time, start spending 1, 2, 3 hours a day learning, reading books on sales, persuasion, speaking, or whatever skill could be involved with whatever a project he wants to work on. Get really skilled in those few areas. And then when he starts to make money from that project, maybe it's a business, maybe it's a new career, the amount of money he'll make will be so much more. I was in this exact same position working full-time, and you know what I did? I moved back home to my family's home, quit the full-time job, and spent hours a day basically trying to grow this YouTube channel and also learning the skills behind that. Since I was living with parents and I had no expenses, I could take that risk of leaving the full-time job and making my full-time job just reading books and watching tutorials on how to speak better. Then I put all of that extra work power into a business that could actually make a really good amount of money. Most careers will never be able to make you rich. No, most careers you'll never be able to make more than $5,000 a month. That's why I chose business instead. Being an entrepreneur just suits me a lot, my personality style a lot more as well. I hate that I'm in my mid-20s and I feel I've done nothing with all this time. Yeah, honestly, it sounds horrible, but you probably haven't. You've probably put 10,000 hours on video games as well, haven't you? Sometimes I'm sure that all the comments are going to be so soft and so cute to him and saying, 25 still young. But sometimes you need someone who's being real with you, who's not going to treat you like a pussy and who's going to look you in the eyes like a man should and tell you, okay, you've been fucking up. Let's fix that. Sometimes you need a masculine man to call you out with some tough love. You don't need this cute motherly advice of it's okay, you'll find yourself. Sometimes you need a man who's yeah, you have fucked up. You put 10,000 hours into video games. You put 1,000 hours into porn and you're 25 years old and you are still a failure, but we can change that starting now if you work hard on the right things. Don't focus on societal expectations. Just focus on the positive changes. That's actually pretty good advice, to be honest. Create a realistic budget and set goals. This is a ChatGPT piece of advice. This is what your mother will tell you. Realistic budget, set goals for their faster achievement. Budget is not going to save this man's life. This is what people need to understand. When you're broke, saving money is not going to actually help you. First of all, you need better knowledge because you're broke because of your brain. But secondly, the reason why you're broke is because you simply just don't make enough money. There's not many people who actually make enough money to not be broke. Trying to save $100 a month is not going to do anything. As much as any of these little scammers have told you that if you put $100 a month into the index funds for 50 years straight, that you'd be a millionaire. None of that is actually true. When you break down the math and you peel back the layers of their shitty little graphs that these budgeter finance finance gurus will tell you they're saving money. No guy ever got rich from saving money. None of these, like if you go online and look for like finance gurus, advice, investing advice, all of these guys who are telling you, oh yeah, save $100 a month, don't buy coffee and invest it into the index funds. None of them actually got rich from that. All of them got rich from a business, making content, writing books. They made a fuck ton of money, more than you could ever imagine, 10, 50,000 a month. Then they put that into those small investments like index funds. Putting $100 a month into index funds is not even cute. It's just embarrassing. You're not going to improve your life by saving money. It's the exact opposite. It's by earning more money and also in a weird way spending a lot more money on your education, not on college, but on good like books of like entrepreneurship, of making more money, books on skill, books on mindset. I turn 26 next week. I never went to college because I have undiagnosed ADHD until 24. I don't feel like a failure. I feel like I'm just on a different path than many of my peers. Yeah, that's kind of nice. Bro, at 25, you still have so much to learn and achieve. My suggestion, stop comparing yourself to others. You have your own path and stick to it. And your parents are really supportive. Be thankful for that. These comments are quite positive, but you can see they don't actually help, do they? This is what I've always hated about like Reddit. It's just, honestly, it's full of like soft people who will tell you the same things that like your mother would tell you instead of telling you the things that will actually help you. Like, sure, it's nice hearing someone say like, oh, you know, just be positive, bro. But does it actually help you? Sometimes you need real, practical, no BS advice, and often you're not going to get that from a place like Reddit. I feel for you, bro. Interesting smell 112. I feel for you. And for all the men out there who are trying to find their place in this world and they need their finances in order, I feel for you because the amount of advice out there that is just shit is insane. And so the last thing I'm going to do is I want to send you to resources that will really help you. So there's a video on my channel, HAMZA, How Andrew Tate Got Rich. Go and search that on YouTube. That's with the author of those books I told you about, MJ DeMarco. He was on the video with me. Like I interviewed him for some questions, right? The YouTuber and a businessman, Alex Hormozi, gives really good business advice. Go and follow him. The author I mentioned, MJ DeMarco, his newest book is really good, The Great Rat Race Escape. And you can also go and read his first book if you want as well, The Millionaire Fastlane. That's the one I read at the beginning, and that really changed my life. A lot of your success at this age and this point comes down to your productivity. And so if you search on YouTube, HAMZA Productivity, I've done a bunch of videos. And my friend Ali also makes really good videos on productivity. He's the world's biggest productivity YouTuber. So if you search Ali Abdal Productivity, go and watch a bunch of his videos. You need to improve your brain and the beliefs and the thoughts and the mindsets that you have around money and working. You need to. Otherwise, if you keep like cashing out your current brain, you're going to keep getting the same kind of results. Yeah, I just want to shake the young men of the world by their shoulders and tell them like, does this not seem common sense to you? That if you're not getting good results, it's just because of like the thoughts and beliefs that you have in your brain. And so the way to change that is to start getting knowledge from people who have the results that you want in life. Insanity is doing the same thing, but expecting a different result. And this is what most men of the world are doing. They've been broke their entire lives. They keep slaving away in shit jobs. And they keep doing the same thing instead of just opening up a book and getting the knowledge that they actually need. Reading books on business, money, productivity changed my life forever. This has been the message that you need to start that right now. And I must continue this, this masculine criticism message, this tough love. If you don't start reading these kinds of books after this video, you're a Jeffrey, you're a pussy, and you deserve to be unsuccessful. I wish someone spoke to me like this when I was 18 years old, when I was 20 years old, when I was 21 years old. I wish someone looked me in the eyes and said, you're being a fucking idiot. Here you are trying to try different businesses, working full time, but you're not knowledgeable enough to make the money that you want. So why not go and get the knowledge first instead of trying to make the pennies that you're eligible for right now? I would have saved years of my life if someone looked at me and said that to me, even though it would have really hurt my feelings. So you can see me as an asshole. I'm sure that if you scroll to the comments, there'll be people who didn't watch the entire video who think that I'm some like horrible guy who boasts, who's like, who's too aggressive or whatever. But this might genuinely save a couple of guys' lives if they watch this far and they realize that this message is really coming out of like the masculine love that we needed. It's tough because we didn't have the right education, the right knowledge from school, from our parents, but that's no excuse because all of the books are out there. And even if you can't even afford a single book right now, you can go find every single book like as a free PDF online. So there's no excuses. Put your head into the book, start reading for at least an hour a day, if not about 2 hours, and just see how it will transform your life if you keep up that one habit. I promise you, you read these kinds of books, a year from now, you'll be making 10 times more money than you're currently making. I promise you. I really hope you'll take action on that. I'll link that video I did with MJ DeMarco right here if you want to go and watch that. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Mwah.